If I could start SEO for an e-commerce brand from scratch, knowing everything I know today, I would do things a lot differently. And it's not because what I was doing before was wrong, but I know exactly what moves the needle first now, what can wait, and what people waste months trying to figure out. And the results speak for themselves. These are brands we've worked with going from 16 to 36, 83 to 223, and from 3K to 10K a month, all from organic Google search and increasing the revenue that these brands are making. So these things work. This video, I'm going to show you what I would do if I'm starting from scratch with a brand. So let's get into it. So step one is getting access to the right data first. Now this is so important because before you touch anything on the site, you need to understand what the site is, how the site is performing. And so Google Search Console is the one that I look at the most. Obviously you've got third-party tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush as well, but Google Search Console gives you the data that you need to make good decisions because it shows you which keywords the site is already ranking for, which pages are already getting impressions, and it ultimately shows you where the opportunities lie because it gives you all this information about what the store is already doing in Google. And so the hidden gold mine is that most brands have keywords sitting in positions like 8 to 15 or anywhere from 5 to 15 really, that are potentially just 1 or 2 tweaks away from jumping to the top of page 1. And so Google Search Console gives you that information direct from Google rather than Ahrefs or SEMrush that are predicting it. And so this is the fastest thing and the fastest wins that you can make with your SEO campaign. And so this is the first thing I do, always have a look at the data and understand where the store is currently before making any decisions. And also is doing a technical audit because we want to make sure that the site is clean first before you build on it. If you start to build on some, rotten foundations, then you're not going to get good results. And so there's a few things that we do here. Now, a technical audit, it shouldn't take long. This should be done within the first week. There's not that much to it when it comes to e-commerce sites. You might be sold thousands of dollars to do this massive technical audit, and you get these reports with all these fancy numbers and stuff. But a lot of it is crap and you don't need it. These are the main things that I look for. And that's duplicate content. And that is basically where you've just got all these pages that say the same thing. That confuses Google about which page to rank. And so then it splits the authority on multiple URLs. So it's not great. We want to fix that up. Missing H1s or duplicate H1s as well, which are the main title of a page. And that gives kind of the main signal to Google about what the page is for. Thin pages, which is where pages pretty much have no content on them. So again, Google has no context about what the page is designed to do for a user. And so then it doesn't, end up ranking those pages and it just dilutes your whole site in general. And then broken internal links as well, and just broken links. Because if you have all these broken links, Google follows them and they go to 4 or 4 pages or they go to broken pages. That just wastes your crawl budget and it loses some authority on your site. So you want to fix up all those things. There are a few other things as well, but they are the main things that I look for in a technical audit. So you want to clean those first before you start to do it. So within the first week, you want to get the data, you want to look at the technical side of things and fix that up. And this should all be done ready with a 6-month road plan as to what is actually going to change your site's trajectory and how you're going to get results, like I showed before with getting some of these results here. So that first step is done. Step 2 is collection pages. Now, collection pages are the things that make the biggest impact in e-commerce because it's where transactional keywords live. Transactional keywords is where revenue comes from. So that's what we want to focus on, not blogs, not potentially other about pages or story pages or anything like that. Collection pages are the main things that we focus on. And so the collection page formula that works for me and that I've seen really good results with is as follows. First of all, the target keyword in the H1. That's the most important on-page signal. So you want to make it clear, you want to make it clean, and don't fluff around with it. Each individual collection page should have a unique H1, which is the main title of the page, and make sure that that incorporates the keyword. Second, intro paragraph above the grid. I've talked about these things all the time, but they're just so important and it makes such a difference. And so Google doesn't always scroll through all your products or to the bottom of any page. And so you want to give it information at the top of the page so it can understand what this page is about. So it then decides whether it should continue reading or it should rank this page or it should just give up on it in general. So an intro paragraph above the grid, the product grid, to show what the content is. And then a content block below the product grid as well. This adds more depth and topical relevance, and it also gives Google more content to work with. So once you've got this content above the grid, then it realizes what the page is about, and so it's going to continue down and read all these other things that you've written there. So you want to give Google as much content as you can that is relevant and that actually makes sense, not just for the sake of ranking. So then it has more chance of ranking your store in Google. And then finally, optimize meta titles, descriptions, and URL slugs. Now these are, the very small changes, but they do make a big difference. It makes a difference on how a user reads your website in Google specifically. So it affects the click-through rate, and it also just helps Google understand, again, what more the URL slug, what this page is about. And so, example here, I worked with a brand that had over 120 collections, but the collections were simply a heading and a product grid, and that was it. And so we added all this content to the page, a few internal links, and within 90 days, they added over $40,000 in organic Google search revenue. So this does work, and that's exactly what I would do starting with a new brand. So the reason we focus on collection pages and not blogs is because blogs may feel productive because you're creating lots of content, and it's what a lot of SEO strategies used to be based around because it kind of worked. But for e-commerce, if your collection pages aren't optimized, you're just building on broken foundation. And so brands with bigger product ranges and more collection pages have the most to gain from this because that's where the most transactional keywords are going to come from. Whereas if you're just building blogs for the sake of producing content, you're not really doing anything in helping your brand grow its revenue. And that's what SEO is about. It's not about growing traffic, it's about growing your brand's revenue. And so that's why blogs can wait. And so more pages, when I said here about bigger product ranges benefit the most from this, that's because you've got a lot more products, which means more pages, which means more keywords. And then more keywords means you're going to get more traffic, and then more traffic compounds the longer you build on it. And ultimately, even though this isn't about traffic, the more traffic that you get, the more revenue that you're going to get from that. And so it's not necessarily about just more traffic, period. It's about the correct traffic coming to your site, which is through collection pages. So if you are ready to map out your SEO roadmap, this is the exact kind of thing that we do for every brand we work with, which is turning SEO into a real revenue channel. So click the link below, the first one in the description. You can book a call with me and we can build this roadmap together so you can see how your store can outrank all your competitors and make more money from Google search. But let's continue on with step 3, which is internal linking. And internal linking from day one, because again, I've talked about this so much. Internal linking is so important because it allows your site to get more authority passed throughout it and allows Google to read your site easier because you're telling Google where to go and which pages are the most important. And most competitors skip this entirely, or they do it in the wrong direction. And it is one of the clearest gaps that I see when I look at different stores. The ones that are doing well versus the ones that aren't. Internal linking is one of those things that the good stores are all doing properly. And so, as I've always said, you want to link down the funnel. So blogs are on the outer or the top of funnel. And so you want to create content which links from those blogs to your middle funnel, which is your collections. And from there, you want to link down to your products, which is the most featured collections and products as well. So sometimes internal linking from collections to collections. If it's relevant, if it makes sense, we'll do that as well. And so internal linking is a force multiplier, which basically means that there's kind of 3 things here. We have homepage authority. And so your homepage is the most authoritative page on your website. And so whatever it links to gets the most authority passed on. So those links need to go to your highest priority collections from day one. And the reason I say from day one is as soon as you can get this compounding, then the faster you're going to get to see results. And so this is why SEO supposedly takes 6 to 12 months, because people don't do this straight away. They take ages. They do a long technical audit, which shouldn't take that long. They start to build out all these content pieces and build blogs and stuff, but they forget these main important things. So if you do this within the first 1 to 2 weeks, then you're going to see results within 1 to 2 months. And this is proven with the results that I've showed before. And so building all this authority from your homepage from day one is important. The second thing is it's a backlink amplification model thing where basically if a link lands on a blog post or a collection page or your homepage, that authority can now flow on to the rest of your site through your internal links. And then one external link, one backlink, can now benefit multiple money pages at the same time without having to pay for them or without having to get more backlinks essentially. And so then finally, the compounding advantage. So this does not feel like it's doing much at the start. And even later on, you might be like, well, has that really worked? But it really does, because it comes a massive advantage the longer that you build on it. And then every new backlink that you earn works harder because of the structure underneath it. So internal linking, super important. Again, another thing I do from day one when starting with a new store. Now, step 4 is blog content. Now, blog content still works. I made a LinkedIn post about it actually, and I'll pop it up here showing how we've made e-commerce sites rank their blog content and get great results from them. But when I was starting out, I would have written more top of funnel blogs because that's what worked at the time, but it doesn't work anymore. AI tools are now answering informational questions directly inside Google search results, and also obviously through ChatGPT, Claude, and all the other ones. And so the traffic from that content has dropped significantly. And so writing a blog that's like, what is a weightlifter belt, is just not going to work. But what does work is middle of funnel content. So people who know what they want, but are still comparing right before they buy. These are the people that are like close to buying something, but they just need a little bit of a nudge or a little bit more information. And so things like the best aftermarket car parts for a car model, or gas oven versus wood-fired oven, which one is better? Like those are people that understand the product, they understand what they're looking for. They might just need a little bit of convincing. So those are the type of blogs that we made. As I said, I put my LinkedIn post up there that talks about that and shows the actual results that you can get from it. And there's also multiple reasons to do blog content in 2026. First is actually getting traffic from buyers. As I said, those middle of funnel blogs can attract traffic for people who are already in a buying mode. And so they're comparing options and they're not just learning. And the right content with the right internal links can convert that traffic into revenue. The second thing is it acts as the landing pad for backlinks, because if you get a backlink to a product page, it doesn't seem as natural, whereas blogs internally link to other blogs on the internet. That's just how it happens. And so it's much more natural to get backlinks to your blogs and then use your internal links to get that authority passed throughout your site. And then finally, topical authority. It's still a thing. It still works. And so publishing, one blog a week, that's kind of the target that we do for our clients. With those middle of funnel keywords is more than enough to start to build topical authority. Maybe you do a few more blogs at the start if the brand hasn't done any content before. But then once you've built that topical authority, Google starts to see you and your site as an expert in your niche. And so that's where blog content still helps and still works in 2026. Now, step 5 is link building, and link building with a budget, not just a number. So I would start building links earlier than most people think is necessary, even on a small budget. The mistake I see is brands will chase quantity of links rather than quality. Again, I've talked about this before. It's so important. If you just spend the budget that you have on backlinks on good quality links rather than just trying to get links for the sake of getting them, you're going to see better results. And so I've got a client whose competitors have thousands of links, but I had a look at them all, but only like 5 to 7 of them are from genuinely good domains. So even though they've got like 5,000 links, only 5 or so are good links. But then my client has 22 quality domains linking to it. And we outrank all of those competitors, even though they've been doing SEO for way longer and they've got way more links. And so again, proven quality beats quantity when it comes to link building. And all of this works best when you pair it alongside with other channels. So depending on your site, SEO alone is not necessarily going to grow your brand's revenue, but it does great things when you pair it with other marketing channels. So ads, firstly, ads feed into SEO. So when you run ads on Facebook or Google, it pushes people to your site. And some of those people will then go to Google later and search for your product. And so they might not necessarily click your ad and buy, but they might understand your product. And then they go to Google and they search it. And so if you're not showing up there organically, you're paying for their attention, but then you're giving that sale to a competitor. So this is why SEO is so important when you're running ads as well. Secondly, email amplifies the authority. So email can drive repeat visits and engagement signals that reinforce your organic rankings. A warm audience that keeps coming back tells Google that your site is worth ranking. So again, once paired with email marketing, it does great things. And then finally, SEO as an additional channel. The brands that see the biggest returns treat SEO as an additional revenue channel and not a replacement for what's ever working. So if you're trying to grow your store and you want to stop spending money on ads to start SEO, I wouldn't necessarily do that. If you can add SEO alongside all these other things, then it's absolutely time to do so. You don't want to necessarily replace something that you're doing it. And so if I was starting with an e-commerce brand from day one, this is the exact sequence that I would follow. Each step kind of builds on the last one. And honestly, all of these should be done within the first month. Like you get these started straight away. You're not waiting 6 months to do this. So first, getting the data sorted, understanding everything there. Secondly, is cleaning the foundations, so doing our technical audit, make sure everything is clean. Thirdly, looking at collection pages and what keywords we need to optimize for, if that means existing pages or new pages, whatever that might be. Fourth is setting up internal linking. Once we've got all that content on the collection pages, we're going to intertwine internal linking straight away. And then fifth is writing middle of funnel blogs and building quality links. And so that just constantly builds on top of everything else that you've done. So once you've done these first couple, you can just constantly iterate and build on top of that. And it gets amazing results, as proven before. And so what happens when you follow this process is that the brands that I've worked with, they don't just get more traffic, they get to a point where organic revenue becomes their new normal. It becomes one of their main sources of income. And so numbers that looked big at the start become a new baseline. And so, as I showed before, going from $83,000 a month to $220,000 a month, that was within 11 months. And so to think that we could get 150% growth within a year seemed ridiculous. But now we're hitting consistent 200K months from Google search. And so this is not abnormal. Like, this happens with all the brands that we work with. And this happens when you do proper SEO. And so if you start in the right place, and get all the data first, the foundation second, the collection pages third, and so forth. The order matters more than people realize, but what also matters is actually just doing it as soon as you can, not waiting a couple of months to get it started. Thirdly is don't go cheap. So one quality link beats hundreds of cheap ones. One targeted blog beats 10 generic ones. So cheap, it just doesn't necessarily work. Like, quality compounds with SEO. That's in the content that you produce, that's in the links that you purchase. It makes a difference. And then third, and this is the one that a lot of brands will struggle with, is actually just staying the course. So the compounding effect of SEO is so real, but it does take time. Like, you will see results soon if you do all these things, but you're going to see even bigger results in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months if you stick with it and you continue with it. Again, point proven, 83 to 223 in just 12 months, and we're continuing to grow. So you don't want to quit before it happens. Just make sure that you follow the process and actually do it correctly. So if you want to see where your store is sitting right now and want to know exactly what you can do in the first 30 to 180 days, click the first link in the description below. You can book a call with me and I'll go through it personally with you and give you a custom roadmap and show you exactly what you need to do, or show you how we can do it for you. So book a free call down below. Hope you enjoyed. This is how I would start an e-commerce SEO strategy from day one. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.